Welcome into the desert. It's week 7 and you're looking live at State Farm Stadium where the Texans are warming up for a 6-0 Arizona Cardinals team. Looking for his first win is quarterback Davis Mills, who currently ranks second among NFL rookies with a 63.3% completion percentage. The Texans have not found the end zone in their last 2 road games. Today, Mills will get another target back in 13-year veteran Danny Amendola, who scored a touchdown in week 1. He missed 4 games with a leg injury. Mills will face J.J. Watt, who logged his first sack in week 6 at Cleveland. Meanwhile, the Texans defense will have to contain Kyler Murray, who threw for 4 touchdowns last week. 2 of those scores were to DeAndre Hopkins. How will the Texans game plan for 2 very familiar faces? We've got answers to your fan questions and go one-on-one with running back Mark Ingram. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon, starts now.
We are ready to rock in Houston.
Touchdown, Houston! Are you kidding? What a catch. Oh, baby.
Y'all know what time it is. It's time to get activated.
Welcome into Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. I'm your host, DP Sulu, along with my good friend, Drew Doherty. We get ready for week 7 at Arizona, but it was big news week for the Texans. They made a couple of transactions, releasing Whitney Merciless and Andre Roberts. And of course, we know the familiar faces on the opposing side of the team, but the Texans have a bit of news as far as their starting lineup today, because a lot of things have jiggled around, Drew, and we're going to see some faces out there that we haven't seen in a few weeks.
Yes, we will see some new faces that, like you mentioned, have been absent as of late, but going to be a fun one today, or it should be a fun one today, because you see 2 of the all-time best Texans ever in J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins, and it means more to them. Don't believe anything that anyone has said. J.J. Watt's already posted something on social media today. This is special to him. How can it not be? He played here a decade, won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, helped with the Texans getting into the playoffs for the first time ever, and then DeAndre Hopkins, alongside Andre Johnson, one of the greatest to ever catch the ball in this building or away from this building while wearing the Texans unis. So I can't wait to see what happens. Texans, big underdogs. It's going to be a tough game. This is an undefeated team, so let's see what happens as we take a look at another guy who's really good at catching balls. Number 13, Brandon Cooks, gets a little bit of help today in the form of Danny Amendola, returning from just being out for the last few weeks. Hasn't played since week 2, so let's see what Cooks can do, because he's targeted often and deservedly so.
It would be nice to see Cooks, Amendola, and Nico Collins out there together. Yep. Nico Collins, we saw him get 4 receptions for 44 yards last week against the Colts. Be able to build a little bit on what the rookie had started, and then he was also out for, he was placed on IR, he came back, so it'll be good to see a healthy wide receiving core out there for Davis Mills as the Texans look to break this losing streak. It's not going to be easy against a Cardinals team that hasn't lost at all this year, but let's get into some of your quick hits for the week. The Texans face J.J. Watt, who after 10 seasons with the Texans is the franchise all-time leader in sacks and tackles for loss. While the majority of the offense is new, offensive coordinator Tim Kelly knows what a big challenge it presents for his guys up front today to face Watt.
Every time we went against them in training camp practice, we were worried about him. So, he's playing at a high level. He's still very disruptive. You still see all the things that he did when he was here. He's playing at a high level. They're moving him around. He's playing inside. He's playing outside. Looks like he's kind of picking his spots as to the particular matchup he may want. But no, he's playing at a high level. So yeah, it's going to be a concern. Obviously, we got to do a great job making sure we know where he is and taking care of him and not let him wreck the game.
Kyler Murray, in his last 10 home game starts, has thrown for 29 touchdowns. He's actually thrown for 20 and rushed for 9. He presents a big challenge with his arm and with his legs. Lovie Smith, defensive coordinator for the Texans, talked about what his guys are going to have to do today to contain Murray on the field.
He's an excellent thrower, baseball background. He's accurate, but he's probably the fastest guy on the field each week he plays. So that just in itself, he's going to be faster than all the defensive linemen and most of the linebackers he's going to play against. And there's a lot of different ways. Teams have tried everything. You can try to blitz him. When you blitz him, there's only a few eyes on him, when he breaks. So, but just his mobility causes problems, and you just want to try to keep it pinned in and keep those scrambles to a minimum as much as anything.
And the Texans will shuffle up their return game today. They released Andre Roberts, and special teams coordinator Frank Ross discussed some of the options to replace him and what the Texans are looking for in their return specialists.
Yeah, first off, speed with Tremon Smith. He's just continually trained his body and he's a fast player. He's a gunner on the perimeter, penetrator on kickoff, and a return man. So he's proven that he can flat out run. Desmond, experience in the NFL, has really some pretty good make-miss ability and an ability to pick his way through coverage. We saw that a little bit in the preseason, but overarching for both of those guys and really a large amount of players on our roster, they really want to do the little things to get better. So Andre was handling the majority of those returns for the first part of the season, yet those guys are out there every day, plus some out there every day, continuing to work their craft for whenever their number is called. So you can't do anything but appreciate that right there as a professional, to wait on your chance and then hopefully maximize and capitalize on those opportunities when they do arise. So speed, ability to play fast through coverage and attack downhill is what we're looking for from those guys.
And could we see Danny Amendola in the return game today? Well, we could. He is active for the first time since week 2. He missed the last 4 games with a leg injury. But who is on the inactives list? Drew is about to share the big news.
Nothing too wild or wacky today. You see those names. Again, the 2 young guys in rookie tight end Brevin Jordan, as well as second-year running back Scotty Phillips, not going to go. We also knew about Jaleel Johnson. He didn't practice this week, so he was ruled out on Friday. And then the other names, the new guy, Jimmy Morrissey, not the singer Morrissey, and Davion Davis and Jimmy Moreland, plus Deshaun Watson, not going to play. So who does that mean is up? Well, you mentioned Amendola. Also, Charles Omenihu missed the last 2 games. He was on the inactive list, but Jordan Jenkins stays because it had been like a toss-up. If Omenihu was out, they said Jordan Jenkins was up. Well, they're both up now, as is Ross Blacklock. He's going to play. He's back from the COVID-19 list. And Kevin Pierre-Louis, the linebacker. Or is it Pierre-Louis? Do we want to go that way?
KPL. He likes to be called KPL.
Is way. So it's our first look at him in a long time.
Yeah, he was designated for return off IR, so now he's back on the active list. She's looking live at Jacob Martin also warming up, and Malik Collins. This D-line, you're going to see some reps from some different guys because obviously no Whitney Merciless on the field. They wanted to open it up for some snap counts, and Levy Smith talked about Jacob Martin and some of the other guys, John Grenard, who we will see more action from, and we'll need to step up in Whitney's absence. But it'll be interesting to see Charles Omenihu back on the field. I know that the coaches get asked about him every single week. They talked about a good week of practice and getting through the good week of practice, making that decision on Friday. So they must have liked what they saw in him and Jenkins as well, because we haven't seen the 2 of them on the field together since weeks 1 and 2.
Obviously, you know what they think because Omenihu's active. What does Omenihu think? How motivated or unmotivated or more motivated is Omenihu after being benched the last 2 weeks? Does he come out like a house of fire and do something different? Also factor in this defensive line without J.J. Watt. He's on the other side of the field today, and I think there's the idea that, well, they aren't anything because there's no more J.J. Watt. I think they might have a little bit of something extra to prove because they think they're pretty darn good. So we'll see. We'll see. But Omenihu being back is a big deal. And Ross Blacklock, too, somebody that the Texans need to see more of because he was your highest pick a year ago. You took him in the 2nd round. So you want to see what he's got as we look at Nico Collins, number 12. I wish I could stretch like that. Looks like Spider-Man. That's good. That's really cool. I need to try that at home and not rip up my hamstrings. But, yeah, that defensive line is going to be tested today because, boy, we've talked about Watt. We've talked about Hopkins, but stars litter the roster on both sides of the ball for Arizona. And this offense is just really, really impressive. And number 91 there, this is a homecoming for him. Roy Lopez is from Tempe, so he was just on the edge of Phoenix growing up, went to high school right outside of Phoenix. And this is certainly a special game for him. There's a lot of Lopez's there in the building watching him, cheering for him, and hoping he does great things. So can't wait to see what he does. It's number 52 right behind him. Jonathan Grenard has been one of the bright spots on this season that only has 1 win. Grenard, as described by Lovie Smith earlier this week, is doing really good things, is playing very well, is making an impact, and you want to see more of it. If he keeps up and if he stays on the pace that he's going, with all due respect to on-pace guy, Grenard's going to finish the season with 15 sacks. I mean, he's got a sack per game. He's got 4 right now. He missed the first 2 games. So if he can keep it up, that's a pretty darn good season, DP, and they need him to keep it up. They need to get that production from him, and they need some of these other guys to step up and get after the passer too, because this passer can also move his legs if he needs to, but he is very, very good throwing the ball.
He was one of my players to watch on Texans Extra Points, Jonathan Grenard.
Yes.
All right, we see some of the running backs warming up, and that brings us to some of our fan questions. Logan wants to know, will we see a continued boost in the run game? Logan, we certainly hope so. The Texans rushed for over 100 yards last week for the first time since week 1. And Mark Ingram was the leader among the backs. And Phillip Lindsay also put up a lot of yardage. He had that one really big chunk run for 35 yards. So they want to see more of those sorts of plays today. And if there is any weakness in this Cardinals team, it could be the run defense. They have allowed a lot of yards on the ground. Take out that Cleveland game. That was something they were lacking before. But if they're able to run the ball, it sort of opens things up for the passing game, and certainly that's something they want to see today. They need to see today.
And it keeps the Arizona offense off the field. You know, you bring up very astutely that run defense being sort of lacking for for Arizona. I keep saying Phoenix because when they moved from St.
They are
Louis
kind
to
of in Phoenix.
Arizona, they were known as the
It's
Phoenix.
a suburb of Phoenix.
I'm sorry, gentle viewer and listener. But they give up 5.1, 5.2 yards per carry when other teams run the ball. Now, they're up so much that other teams don't get to run that often. But if you're able to do that, and if it continues with what you saw last week from Mark Ingram in particular, who had 4.1, 4.2 yards per carry, which was basically a yard, almost 2 yards better than what he's been averaging all season long. If you can sustain that and keep that going, that plays into so many things for you, because it's like I said, you keep that Arizona offense off the field, you're chewing up the clock, you're obviously making things easier and putting Davis Mills in easier down and distance situations. You're staying ahead of the sticks, so to speak. So, yeah, let's keep that going. Great question, Logan. When I talk to Mark Ingram about it, you'll hear his answer in a little bit, but he's confident that they can sustain that success on the ground, as you see him with an interesting little jumping catch right there in pregame warmups.
Yeah, we see Mark Ingram and also David Johnson. I don't think we've talked much about his return to Arizona. Yeah. He's not having the season that he'd want to have. But if the run game gets going, maybe he gets a few carries. Maybe they feed him the ball a little bit more. He certainly does catch passes well out of the backfield, so maybe they get him more involved in the offense. We see tight end Farrell Brown, and I have to say, happy Tight Ends Day to our tight ends group, and I'm sure they're looking for a big game as well today.
Always.
All right, Adrian wants to know, and this is a question that we get pretty much every single week.
It's a good question.
When will Tyrod Taylor return? Well, Adrian, all eyes are on Tyrod Taylor. He is on the injured reserve list. He will get designated to return to practice. We haven't seen that yet. We thought maybe this would be the week we'd see him return to practice. It'll be next week. And David Culley has said that what they're looking to see from his hamstring strength is really the limiting factor. As soon as they see those numbers where they want to see them at in his return, he'll be ready to practice. It's just not there yet. He seems to be very close. He's trending in the right direction, so no setbacks or anything like that. They're sort of waiting for him to get to that point, and they got to work him back up into the lineup. You're not going to see him in practice one day and then playing in a game the next. We'll see a gradual increase in his practice reps before they feel like he is ready to return. But I think it could be next week. It could be the week after. We're very, very close, Logan. Adrian. That's the sense that I get, Drew.
You said everything I possibly could have said. I thought he was going to be back last week against Indianapolis. He wasn't. Didn't get back this week. Everything else DP just said, that's what you go with. Maybe soon, hopefully. We'll see. He's on the field. He's up there. You see him right there, actually, in the center of the screen. He's right next to Romeo Crennel, and you got the guy with the beard there talking to him. So he is on the field, and he is, encouraging his teammates and, talking them up, keeping them calm before the game. Right there, back-to-back, essentially, with Rex Burkhead. We got a question from Logan. Will we see more blitzing to pressure Kyler Murray? Perhaps you could see that. I don't know. You haven't seen too much blitzing from this defense, I think, on the whole this season, but maybe. You got to be careful, though, because of so many good receivers on this Arizona team. In addition to Hopkins, you've got A.J. Green, who went to a Pro Bowl with Hopkins and has been to many Pro Bowls and is one of the guys who's kind of like hold your breath scary when the ball is in the air to him because you think bad things are going to happen. And then you've got Christian Kirk, the Aggie, who came to Texas A&M from the state of Arizona and now is back in the state of Arizona and is right alongside Hopkins in terms of catches and yards. He's up near the top of that leaderboard there for Arizona this season. He's playing outstanding and they've added Zach Ertz at the tight end spot. Zach Ertz, we saw Zach Ertz do really good things against this Texans team in 2018 when the Texans won 11 games. So it's a potent offense. I didn't even bring up the run game, DP.
We did not, but you know what? Edwin wants to know, what do you think of the offensive line? We see them sort of getting their work in with the defensive linemen. And you know what? I have to say the offensive line was one of the bright spots against Indianapolis because they had 3 starters out. And we haven't mentioned even that Justin Britt is back today at starting center.
Although it looks like McCray's the guy taking the reps with the ones right now. So
well, he's
right.
active, so maybe he'll play, maybe he will start, maybe he won't.
Okay.
It would be nice to see him back in the line. But McCray doing some nice things in his first start at center. He's started all 5 positions on the offensive line in his NFL career, which is impressive. And then Jaron Christian at left tackle. Filling in, obviously, for Laramie Tunsil on IR.
I'm a big dope. I said that, and right as I said that, I see
Cole
Toner
Britt
exiting and Max Sharpen coming in, and that's the one. So they're just kind of mixing and matching right now. So, yeah, Justin Britt's your starter. Disregard everything that I just said about the offensive line.
Well, you brought up the run game, and you did sit down with one of my favorite interviews this year, Mark Ingram. You had a chance to go one-on-one with him and ask him about this matchup and what he expects for today in the run game. Let's get into that. Drew's one-on-one with Mark Ingram.
Is powered by Reliant, and we've got running back Mark Ingram with us. Mark, it's been an interesting week as a leader. How much do you talk in a week like this? How much do you simply do in a week like this?
They just get back to work, just stay grinding, stay focused on the task at hand, trying to, make sure I'm preparing to the best of my ability to go out there and help the team win. And you just try to do that by example, and you just try to, have communication with your teammates just to make sure everyone's on the same page, make sure everyone's feeling good with the vibes and the energy. And you just go out there and work, and you try to put your best foot forward so we can give ourselves the best opportunity to have success on Sunday.
Because of the outcome last Sunday, it wasn't talked about, and it was sort of lost in the shuffle, but you ran the ball really well. I mean, you were over 4 yards a carry. It was one of your best performances of the season. What was a little bit different, if anything, for you?
I think the offensive line just did a great job of just getting movement, and creating seams to run through. Obviously, had a couple chunk runs, and that always helps. So, obviously, TK calling the runs, trusting us that we're going to execute them properly, but all do with the big guys up front, the tight ends, receivers, all those guys being able to block and get hat on the hat and just create seams for us to run through, and that's why I was able to run like that.
Yeah, and you're a pretty confident guy. I get the sense that you're confident that performance from the line up front can continue, don't you? It's sustainable, right?
Of course. I have the utmost faith and confidence in those guys. They always work, and Coach Camp does a great job of preparing them and making sure that they know what to do with different looks, with movement they're getting on the line, and he always has those guys ready. So I'm excited that that's my offensive line, and I'm confident that we'll be able to continue the success.
I like it. Okay, well, let's talk about this front seven for Arizona. What impresses you the most? What presents the biggest challenge in your eyes?
I mean, they have a lot of guys. Chandler, JJ, the backers, D tackles. Got some Buda Baker. They're just a well-coached defense. They fly to the ball. They play well within their scheme, and they know how to adjust and adapt and make adjustments. And that's the signs of a good defense. But it'll be a good challenge for us. We just have to limit them. We have to stay on track. We have to play winning football. Not have turnovers, not have penalties, and not have missed assignments and mental errors. So, of course, there'll be mistakes. Everything won't be perfect, but we're excited about the challenge at hand, and we're all working for it. We're all working and looking forward to putting ourselves, having the best opportunity to have success in the game.
All right, we got to find out how you're powering game day. So the night before, say, a noon game, how many hours of sleep are you getting? When are you waking up, too?
I'm probably like 8 hours, right around 8 hours. I'm probably, if the bus leaves at like 9:30, I'm probably up around like 8:15-ish. Give myself like 45 minutes just to, mosey around, get dressed, pack up my stuff, and then get down for breakfast, about 30 minutes, and get on the bus headed to the stadium. So, simple.
And what is for breakfast when you?
I usually do like a waffle. I get some egg. I get an omelet with like broccoli, spinach, some bacon, and a waffle, and that's about it. I'll be force feeding myself on game days because I don't really have too much of an appetite.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, so I'll be kind of force feeding myself, but that's what I eat.
But you mix in broccoli in the omelet. I've never actually met anybody. I always see the broccoli there, but I never see it actually get eaten.
Yeah, I like broccoli, and the greens are good for you.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to give you energy for the game. So I try not to just put a lot of protein in my omelet, but just put some vegetables in there.
Staying light.
So I can get those greens in there and get my waffle, put some strawberries on it, the syrup on it, give me a couple orange juice, and
You're all set.
ready to roll.
All right, and last thing, any music that you listen to once you get to the stadium and you're getting ready and going through it? What are you listening to?
I listen to a lot of different things. I listen to like old Lil Wayne, old Jeezy, old Gucci, Lil Boosie. I listen to some Future, Young Dolph, Gunna. I just kind of, rotate through the shuffle of what I'm feeling. Meek Mill could be in there. It could be anybody, man.
So you mix it up.
Yeah, I just mix it up and whatever I'm feeling. But it's turned up. It's some rap music, some trap music. Get going. You know what I mean? Especially when I'm in the locker room getting ready, close to get ready to go out. Got to turn the music up, get crunk, you know what I mean? But kind of like on the way to the bus, more mellow, more smooth, maybe some gospel, maybe some old school. But once I get in the locker room, it's time for business and got to get the energy up. So
Understandably so.
Yeah.
All right, well, hope the energy remains high on game day. Good luck to you, Mark Ingram. Best of luck, and we can't wait to talk to you again very soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff with Mark Ingram. Broccoli and eggs and
Yeah.
a waffle. I love that breakfast combination. I know you're a little weirded out by broccoli and your eggs, but
Not weirded, just
Solid.
I don't ever see anyone use it. It's always the fullest of the accoutrement in the omelet station. Everything else is like the ham's halfway gone, almost gone, or the cheese. There's not a lot of cheese left, but the broccoli, it's always kicking like Van Damme and totally full. So Mark is kind of the holdout there. He likes the broccoli in his eggs.
the broccoli is working for him. He leads all active players in rushing yards and ranks second in rushing TDs currently. Mark Ingram out there looking to get another touchdown today because the Texans have not been able to score on the road the last two games. They hope to do so today. Let's take a look at your starting lineups today. We'll look at the offense first. Get that up there. Davis Mills, Mark Ingram, David Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Chris Conley, Pharaoh Brown, and then your offensive line, Jaron Christian, Titus Howard, and then Justin Britt re-enters the lineup at center, Max Sharping, and Charlie Heck. So your reshuffled O-line gets a little bit of a change as some of the starters return, but your left tackle, right tackle still being held down by Christian and Heck. Let's switch gears and talk about the defense.
Yeah, and that offensive line, before we get into the defense, they're going to get tested. Even though you don't have Chandler Jones to face, you are going to get J.J. Watt. So we'll see how much Heck sees of Watt, how much does Watt move around and go to the left side and mess with Jaron Christian, but nevertheless, still a test. And that defense staying basically the same. You got Martin and Grenard out on the edge. Roy Lopez, the rookie, inside with Malik Collins. And then the three linebackers stay the same. Grugier Hill, Kirksey, and Cunningham. And largely the same secondary. Desmond King going to be your corner, along with Terrence Mitchell. And then the safeties, Reed and Johnson. They got to get some picks today. They got to get some fumbles. They just don't win when they're underwater. When it comes to turnover differential, as we look at Titus Howard walking off the field, you got to get takeaways. You got to be clean with the football. It's as simple as that. They've only won one game, and when they did, they were positive in turnover differential. If they're even or underwater, they lose. No ifs, no ands, no buts. That's what's happened this weekend, and they got to be better about that. They got to get some takeaways.
All right, turnovers, takeaways. The right side of that line is going to get tested with J.J. Watt as he lineups opposite them. And you can check out HoustonTexans.com. We're going to have the press conferences. We're going to have stories throughout the game, updates, and more. That's going to do it for Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon. For Drew Doherty, I'm DP Sidhu. Thanks to everyone that worked on this show, including Tyler Marcotte and the crew. Have yourselves all a great game day, and go Texans.